am Danielle Jacobs, and I work for beltug. Now, beltug is the Belgium Association of CIOs and Digital Technology Leaders. So the people I'm talking to almost daily are CIOs and IT managers and their teams from larger companies from different sectors. So all what I'm going to tell you comes from banks, retail, pharma industry, so the business users, so not the IT sector. In our community, people from the IT sector are very welcome, but we work mainly for the business users. We have about 500 companies, 2,300 people, and what we are working on, privacy, security, technology, data, of course, and vendor management. These are the building blocks of our activities, mainly exchange of experience, bringing companies together to learn from each other because everything is evolving so fast and it's so difficult to cope up with how to use digital technology within the companies that it's really very welcome to see how other companies are dealing with GDPR or cybersecurity or artificial intelligence. So that's one point. Second point, and that's why I'm here today, is also that we want to be the voice of the business users. Since there are a lot of hurdles in bringing your digital strategy to work. So what do we experience? We feel it's very, very important that there is competition. Maybe you wonder where the name beltug comes from. We used to be Belgium Telecommunications User Group, so we used to be an association of telecom managers a long time ago, and we were created fighting the incumbents, so the monopolies, and trying to give all the challenges on the markets in that time, whether it was mobile or fixed, fair chances, so that our business users could have a lot of choice. So competition is key for us. But what we see now, and we are not only dealing with telecoms anymore, but with digital in general, is that we now have a problem of being locked at a very high level. So where it used to be a problem with not too many choices for your connectivity, especially in the time of the monopolies, we are now having a problem that cloud is becoming very, very important, and we have a lot of good cloud stuff and good cloud software. We don't have anything against cloud providers. We see that it offers a lot of benefits, but once you have implemented cloud software, you're probably stuck for 20 years. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a very difficult story right now, so that we see that a lot of cloud players benefit from the situation that you cannot just run away, to have next to the software a lot of practices which are being difficult. Let me give an example. A very easy one is just the price increase. If I look at beltug, we are a little association. Well, we are a big association with 500 members, but our team is only 8 people, so that's a very small organization. Only last year, when we looked at the prices of the cloud software we use, we had an increase of about, on average, 30%, and you just say, okay, we just go on. Other difficulties are changing metrics. I can give you an example of a company using a software for invoicing. They made their business case on how many invoices are being processed by that software, but that at a sudden moment, the software company decided not to do the billing per invoice, but per item on the invoice. So business case had to be redone completely. This is something companies experience. So why am I telling you this? Because I think you are an audience of a lot of telecommunication telcos. I mean, that's what I understood. You are in the same situation because also for telcos, cloud becomes much more important than it used to be. So we would like to have a fair balance between the cloud providers and their business customers. Belgium is only a small country, so it does not help a lot if we do this on our own. And so we work closely together with the CIO associations from France, CIGREF, Voice, Germany, and CIO Platform in the Netherlands. We have our discussions, especially with the people from the European Commission, because they are the ones that are being able to do something at a European level. And so where we wanted to be constructive, we said, okay, we are going to do a consultation of the business users in the 4 countries and see what is harming them most. And so we came to a list of what we call our 11 FAIR principles. These are just principles, it's public information, you can find it on the websites of the 4 associations. but some things we really would like to change to come to a very good, healthy situation for cloud in Europe. If you see that a lot of services are bundled, if you see it's very expensive to get your data back, there certainly is a serious way to go to improve. And we are being heard. So we've had discussions, and we still have them with the Commission. And you probably heard about the Data Act. The Data Act will be a legislation which will be very important in Europe because it's the way you will be able to share data. It's about a lot of the use of data of different parties. It should land in November. We'll see where it gets. We have the positions from the Council, we have the positions from the Parliament. There needs to be a trialogue. But from the principles we found 3 in the proposal for a Data Act. Now, the second principle is we really don't like vendor lock-in. As I said before, there are quite some difficulties when using cloud software and why going out. And so what we see is that in the Data Act, some of the principles or possibilities are being stretched. So a pain point is certainly if you want to leave your contract, if by the end of the contract you say, okay, I want to go to another software provider, you will need to have your data back. We saw that in only 5% of the cloud contracts, there are exit clauses. There is foreseen what it costs you to get back your data. So only 5% of the contracts where it is foreseen. With the Data Act, it will be foreseen everywhere, and what we are pleading for, and in the text, but of course it's not final yet, it is foreseen, is that the egress fee, so to get your data, to do the switching, will be gone after 3 years. So that is really a fundamental change in the way companies are handling their data right now, because I presume that everything what was told here before today and yesterday was a lot about data, about governing your own data, by using your own data, be master of your data. So that is very important and even key to us. I understood that you have been talking about unified communications especially, and I wanted to give you some insights of some figures we recently gathered. These are figures for Belgium, so I cannot say these are for Europe, but they are interesting as well because it's the tendencies are certainly the same in different countries. We do a market study. It's for companies with more than 200 employees, so the larger companies, not the small ones. And what we see is in 2019, that's only 4 years ago, you see the 22% at the right hand. So you had, question was, for infrastructure as a service, who are your main providers? So if you count them on, you will see it's not that much more than 100%, meaning there is not that much multi-cloud already being used in Belgium. What we see is in the different ones, the other ones, you can read them as local stuff from telecom providers here or from IT companies in their data centers. So you see that only in 4 years' time, the number or the part of the local players is really going down a lot. And you also see that Microsoft becomes much more important than the other ones. Why? Because of the bundling of the services, it's easy. Everything integrates, everything is there, and they move further and further in that domain. As you all know, they are now including AI in their Office products and so on. If we look at unified communications, so this is from the same study. So there as well we see that, of course, Microsoft is leading with unified communications, followed by Zoom. But that is not the message I wanted to bring, because you all know that you don't need our market study to see that. What I want to say as a message is that the hyperscalers, because it's not only about Microsoft, is really going to the communications market. So they are really becoming communications companies. It was very interesting to see for us that if you look to the integration with voice services, that we had a tremendous change in only 2 years. So these are the figures from now, so from 2023. And we asked the companies, do you want to integrate voice, or do you already integrate voice in your unified communications? 40%, 44% does. 2 years ago, that was 73%. So you see that because of the massive use of unified communications, calls to voice numbers are really going down. Of course, in a lot of services, in a lot of sectors, it is very relevant. It stays important to be able to use phone numbers, but it means that in a tremendous way, the way of unified communication is really putting aside the old telephony network. And what we see now is that we get, from our position, looking from the business user side to the providers market, it is very strange for us to see that the over-the-top layers, the cloud providers and the telecom providers, they become competitors, but they are also partners. And it's very difficult for us to see where is this heading to. We see that some of the cloud services, they have an operator status in different countries. They can offer voice services, and they do. We know that they're large customers, that they are not asked to move via a telecommunications operator, but just say, okay, if you want to have a good service level agreement, you can have your services and you can have your link to the data center from the cloud provider just in one package, offering one service level agreement. So, wow, big benefit for the customer. But the local telecommunications player is set aside. So this is changing so much how competition works. And as I said before, so for us, competition is key, and we have really very, very big questions about how the telecommunications competition will evolve in the next years. So first of all, you have 5G, you have IoT, you have AI, massive, massive data. So we all know that these data cannot just run over the telecommunications network. Edge will be very important. Now I only know the case of Belgium best, but we see that the telecommunications operators in Belgium chose for Google, AWS, and Microsoft to do the edge computing. So you see there a very important role again. What we also see with all the difficulties at the geopolitical level and so on, also the Schrems 2 story. So we see that the tendency to sovereign cloud and get more trusted services is becoming more important. We get more and more questions about that. From what can we do to be sure that we have the encryption keys, or that we know that we can have maybe European engineers working and not people from other countries. It can go in all flavors. But what we see in the different countries is that also there, the main telecommunications players in the different European countries choose to work with the main over-the-top players, and so they bundle their knowledge. So what will it be as a consequence for the telecommunication services of other players, of the challengers we really like so much? So that's another element. And what will happen with the Gigabit, the GIA, the Gigabit Infrastructure Act? So maybe you know that there is now the initiative from the Commission. It's a consultation phase. We do not know where it will end, but who will pay for the infrastructure, 5G, fiber, the infrastructure of the roads of the future? It's so crucial that we get it right here in Europe. And we do not know how it's going to evolve. So what we do know is that the competition between the telcos and the other players will be changed enormously. And cloud providers have deep pockets. They work at an international scale. They might not have all the features and the possibilities of telecommunication players yet, but they are learning very fast. So I think we will see a very, very big move in the next year. And this brings me to my conclusion. So 30 years ago, we have been working so hard to get competition between the telecommunications players because we wanted to have competition at the connectivity level, see, okay, we want to have choice. Telecommunications is so important. It is even more important than it used to be 30 years ago, but where we used to be having a less choice or being locked at a connectivity level, we are now locked at a very high level at the application layer. And that is a very serious concern of business users, which also is an important issue for telecommunications operator, because here we are at the same site. And with that, I just wanted to conclude. Thank you.